I want everybody to just take a step back and imagine. We're gonna go on a story into the past. Precisely 3 days ago at 9:47 p.m. And imagine a boy. He's lying down on his bed, he's on his phone, he's watching a Facebook video about dogs. Why dogs? He likes dogs. And after he finished that video, he realized that he has an informational speech that he needs to write. He had 8 hours left to write this speech. 8 hours. It was that moment that he began to panic, and he's scared for his life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the art of procrastination. As many of you guys are, I'm sure a majority of people here had procrastinated at some point in their life. For instance, I procrastinate a lot. It happens to me on the daily. Today, I will discuss first what exactly is going on to your brain and why you procrastinate. Then I will identify why it is a trend. Why do we keep doing what we do even though we know the outcome? And lastly, I will discuss a nice example. To begin, first, what is going on in the brain? According to Dennis DeValchel in Brain Freeze, Science Behind Procrastination on the Next Web, he states that the amygdala is a section of the brain associated with emotional reaction to a situation. So his idea was that the pinpoint of procrastination comes from the amygdala. For the sake of the speech, we will call the amygdala Amy. Amy will be a girl that resides in your brain. And so going back to our story that we have been focusing on, you're frantically thinking about what to do now to write your speech. Amy pops up into your brain and she tells you, you know what? The informational speech is not fun. You look at it in a negative way. So let's push that aside and let's watch some more videos, this time on YouTube. So you're watching videos on YouTube, and videos after videos, you realize 3 hours later, you still have not started your informational speech. Amy was really persuasive. And in saying so, Amy decides to say, you only have 5 hours now to write your speech, and Amy is gonna let you do your work. But of course, she's not happy about it because you're not feeling happy. But Amy doesn't care about you, so Amy's gonna be like, all right, I don't wanna hang out with you anyways. Bye, Felicia. That being said, this is exactly what is going on to your brain. Your brain has an instant gratification that skews you away from what you really have to do. In saying so, it leads to my next point. Why is it that we keep doing what we do even though we know the outcome, which is not very good at times? So, in your brain, you get impulses being sent throughout your brain, and there's two chemical messages that get sent. The first one is norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is the reason why you become very diligent, you become very obedient, and you're orientated and you're focused and driven to doing what you gotta do, which is that speech, which is probably due now in 4 hours. Knowing that time, as Elena Hall once said in the article, The Science Behind the Urge to Procrastinate, in the Huffington Post, she says, every time something enjoyable happens, you get a slight dose of dopamine. If anybody here takes organic chemistry, that's the chemical for dopamine. Now, I don't know about everyone here, but if something starts with dope, I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be something really cool. And that is exactly what it is. Dopamine to your brain is a reward, a pleasure. The brain was able to think that every time you procrastinate, your brain gets some dopamine. Now, if everybody knows the brain is really greedy, so it always wants more and more of something. And in this situation, it wants more dopamine. So it's gonna make you want to keep procrastinating so it can feel good. It only matters about itself. It doesn't really care about you, even though you're struggling trying to finish that essay. That being said, we went over exactly what it is leading to every single event. We understand why it is that we always tend to procrastinate. That leads to my next point, a simple example. Now, to go back to the story, of course, you first started out with a goal, and that's to write an informational speech that you kind of skewed away from because you wanted to watch more videos about dogs. Funny story, that person was me. I was that person. And I just happened to be watching 3 hours of dog videos on YouTube. And I forgot all about my informational speech. And it just became time that I had to really focus, and I was able to focus. So what we all got to learn today is step by step what exactly is going on with my brain when I was procrastinating. Rather than doing the right thing, I did what I felt was right at that very moment, even though it could affect my grade. Whether I did that on purpose or not, as an irony, it happened. But to every good story, there is always an end, and we have reached that point. And overall, we got to explain a little more about the art of procrastination. We first got to realize what exactly is happening in the brain while you procrastinate. Then we followed up with that with why do we keep doing what we do even though we know it's going to lead to a lot of late night and no sleep. And that being said, we also ended it with an example, a simple example of none other than myself. In concluding this speech, there's one thing I would like to point out. And according to Dr. Cycle, in the Association of Psychological Science, he states that emotional regulation, to me, is the real story to procrastination. Now that's a very, very interesting statement. You realize that everybody has their own way of interpreting a situation. There's many researches and there's many theories on what exactly is happening when you procrastinate. And everything that we just learned today is a mere gist of the overall big picture. There's many theories and many different ways to interpret procrastination out there. So it really just gives everyone here just something to think about.